Hi, this is Bhavna, and you're watching India Today. And guess who do I have with me tonight? It is the darlings of the darlings. Yes, you guessed it right. Shefali Shah, right here with me on India Today. Firstly, a huge welcome, Shefali.
Thank you, Bhavna.
I have to firstly congratulate you. I mean, the kind of roles that you're coming up with, the opportunities that you're getting. I, as an audience, feel really proud, and I can only imagine how it must be for you. Before we get on with what Dr. G is all about, I want to understand, do you feel that this is the best phase of your life and your career per se?
I don't want to call it the best because it means it can't get better. So I'm just hoping it just gets best, bester, bestest and continues growing.
You know, with Dr. G again, I remember briefly, recently we saw Human again. We touched upon the medical side in that show as well. This time around, it's a very different atmosphere and a plot come all together. But do you keep that in mind whenever a new project comes to you, that although it might be in the similar space, but it still needs to be different from the other?
Yeah, obviously, because otherwise it would be very boring to do. I mean, yes, Human was in the medical world, but also there isn't another character like Gaurinath. And this is again a very, very, it is actually the medical world is a huge part. I mean, that's the world the film is based on. But Nandini is a very, very different kind of a person. And also the script is different. This is funny. It's, Human was more of human drama and suspense, and it became a thriller. It was very intense. This is much lighter. This is much easier to digest. So, yeah.
You know, with Darlings, again, I mean, that was dark humor. I think this is also on the humor, but I don't think it's as dark, though, as Darlings, of course. But I want to understand, again, when you're trying something, comedy especially, there's always a chance of going wrong, right? How do you make sure that the script that you're choosing is bang on? Because sometimes what you get on paper cannot exactly be what you see on ground.
I agree, but that is a case with any genre. That is a case with any film. You may love something on paper, but you don't know. And I do not have the vision. I'm sure there are a lot of actors who can make out, ye kaise banegi film. I don't know it. Because one is I don't see the film until it's completely complete. I mean, completely complete? Whatever. Secondly, I never check the monitor.
You don't?
Never. I mean, औरों के shots तो भूल जाओ, मैं खुद का एक भी shot नहीं देखती. I do not check the monitor. So I don't have a vision. I don't understand the edit pattern that is going to go into it, etc., etc., etc. So I can't see, a film in a larger perspective. I forgot your question. Anything, something could be wonderful on paper, but it could just not translate so well on the big screen. Yeah, as an actor, you've got to. I mean, I feel so. Darlings was the first touchwood film that I got offered, which was a comic, a dark comedy, a different genre. But yeah, you need to be very, it shouldn't come like a punchline.
Yeah.
When you have good lines, you don't throw them as punchlines. Also, these are people who talk like that.
Yeah.
In Dr. G, the script, the situation becomes humorous. But Nandini, her humor, she has wit, but her humor comes in sarcasm,
And I think I can think of no one who can pull off this kind of role better than you.
Because I fire people,
No. But it's just, I mean, I could only imagine you doing this and pulling this role off. But also, Shefali, I want to understand now that in the last 2 years or 3 years, we have seen the kind of projects that you've been doing. Can we say that you have finally come to a point where you can, or you have more opportunities and you can say perhaps no? I mean, I'm sure earlier too you have said no a lot of times. That's why very few projects. But now the opportunities are far more than before.
I was expecting it and I am expecting it. But I think what has happened after this year and all the releases is that, now whatever roles they must have thought they'll come to me with, that has also stopped, because it's like now you can't go to her with a filler. So, which I've heard, and I've heard this from writers and directors, that they're working on stuff for me.
That's
good. That is great.
Yeah.
That is great. So it might be a wait again, for the kind of work that I want to do. But yeah.
I mean, does it ever get disappointing though? Because sometimes what happens is, especially with actors, usually the preconceived notion is that, oh, this particular actor would need a certain screen time now that she's doing so great. So maybe if we cannot give her that much screen time, but the character is good, even then they'll not come to you, only assuming that you might perhaps say no. Does that happen?
Um, See, also this, you could have a very small screen time, but it again finally comes down to how it is translated on screen, and that is a risky place to go. Because and it's not about length, but it's about the importance of that character to the film or the project. Because if it's about the length and if it's not important, that's the first thing to go onto the edit table. And that's not the place I want to be in. I don't want to be in that place. I mean, if somebody is doing like let's say, I'm just talking off my hat, like a monsoon wedding, which is an ensemble cast, I would today even at the drop of a hat do it.
Other makers listening, maybe we would need a sequel to that very, very soon. But also Shefali, what I remember the last time we spoke, and you mentioned and it stayed with me even today, because you said that 40s is the new 40s and you're enjoying being in this phase because now is the time that you're getting age appropriate roles. You are one of the examples, of course, but do you see the change in the industry as well, like overall, or is it just a phase, as we all call it?
No, in fact, I don't think it's a phase. Because I think I must have mentioned this to you. In the 60s, 70s, there were women-oriented films and they were characters. They were not just accessories to the male lead, and they were amazing characters. Then there came a phase where where there was really nothing much for women to do besides look really nice. And but it's changed. It started changing, right? I mean, I'm not just talking about now. When you're talking about let's say Parinita, or you talk about Dirty Picture. You talk about the films that Shabana Azmi and Smita Patil have done. I mean, this is what is beautiful is earlier there used to be this demarcation of art cinema and commercial cinema that is going away. And it's not just about women-oriented films. I'm talking about subjects. I mean, there is a Andhadhun, there is a Badhai Ho. Yes, somehow they all have very, very prominent female characters. But Vicky Donor, I mean, these are subjects you'd never think you'd touch upon. But they're there.
Even with Dr. G, I mean, this concept, I don't think we've seen it in a long time, especially in Hindi cinema.
To put it very interestingly, it's actually a man in a woman's world.
Which is interesting. But do you consider these things before saying yes to a film? Because invariably, I mean, maybe that's not the intention, but most of your films, we see you as the strong, driven women characters that you're playing, right? Even in a film like Jalsa, where you're actually playing a maid's role, it is still so strong. So is it like you're naturally drawn to characters like this?
Trust me, it's not a conscious decision, and I wish somebody understands that there is also one of the biggest parts of me is my vulnerability and my fragility. I think there is a lot of strength in vulnerability, and I don't only want to play strong women. I want to play real women. I want to play flawed women. I want to play women who may not be strong enough.
Are you getting those kind of offers as well?
Well, the one film that I did last year, which I think would release sometime next year, is called Three of Us. And that is, I mean, she is so fragile and so vulnerable and delicate. And that's such a breakaway from my impression and the kind of work that I do. And I'm really looking forward to that film.
And now that you've teased me about that, I'm already looking forward to it because, like you said, typecast can work both ways. Sometimes it can be great, but sometimes it can also limit you as an artist, is what I feel.
It's going to bore me.
Yeah, true.
I'd get very bored. I mean, luckily, all these characters and the scripts, stories are very interesting. So it doesn't, so I want to be a Vartika, I want to be a Ruxana, I want to be a Shamshu, I want to be a Nandini. But if you give me the same kind of roles and put me into a box, I'll get bored out of my brains. I wouldn't know what to do.
No, and I know that for sure about you because the kind of roles and the body of work that you have had speaks for itself. But you know, Shefali, also, I mean, you in Dr. G especially, you have Ayushmann as your co-star here. What was that like? Because two very good actors together on screen, we can only expect like magic.
Well, I hope you'll find what you're looking for. But as an actor, as a person, I mean, it was lovely. He's a good actor. He's a genuine, simple person. He's funny. Off camera, we had a lot of fun because, I mean, there were days we were just delirious with laughter doing something. I don't even remember what we were laughing at, but we were. That's the best kind. It's so much fun. And when you have such a good actor and a good person in front of you, it only makes you better. So it's been a sheer pleasure.
You know, another thing before I let you go, which I was just reminded of in the same interview that we did last time, you hoped that things would change in the terms of budgets and in the terms of remuneration for artists, especially. Do you see a change now that you've delivered so many hits back to back?
Like I'm telling you, I don't even have. I mean, I'm waiting for something substantial to come my way, something so exciting that we can proceed from the script level to the level of discussing remuneration. Whatever.
But do you see a change? I mean, in today you can demand something, and there are people who would consider.
I haven't met one producer who comes and says, "I will give you more than you're asking." Trust me.
It's time for that to change as well. But thank you so much, Shefali, and all the very best to you.
Thank you so much.
I hope that you continue to entertain us like you do always.
Thank you, darling. Thank you so much.
Yeah.